It's your Dockmaster Michael Atilano, and you are listening to the Starboard. My guest for this episode is artist, musician, and percussionist Karlos Edwards, who spent a number of years touring with world-renowned acts such as Loose Ends, the Brand New Heavies, and Take That, to name a few. Here to talk about his brand new single, With You. Welcome aboard, Karlos Edwards.
Hi, how you doing?
So let's talk about your new single. I think your new single is fantastic. It's like there's so many different elements and different kinds of music going all together into one song.
As you can hear, some of the influences in the track, I'm into a lot of kind of film tracks and soundtracks. So there's an element of that going on. I love jazz. So there's an element of that going on, and also some soul. So I just try to combine all of those different kind of styles together into making a piece of music that lasts for 3.5 minutes to keep people engaged. That was my mission.
I see that you have a good list of personnel on here, but you're doing the vocals and the bass playing, correct?
Yeah, I played all the instruments on it apart from the trumpet, and I have a singer who comes in. She sings on a part of the song, but apart from that, I've done everything.
My gosh, I thought that was you on the vocals as well. I was like, wow, your range is super dynamic.
Yeah, I do the front part of the vocal, and then there's a guest vocalist that comes on and she sings a bit. But yeah, that's me at the start and doing the backing vocals as well.
I see that most of your credits are as a percussionist. How many years have you been playing other instruments?
To be honest, since I was quite young, I grew up in a Pentecostal church, so I had access to playing bass guitar and playing, keyboards and playing rhythm guitar. So I've always, from age maybe 9 or 10, I've always jammed along with like Earth and Fire songs or what, and that's kind of how I learned to play by ear. It just made me think, oh, I might as well try and do a project that kind of incorporates everything that I can do, with my writing ability as well. So that's mainly the reason why I ended up playing most of the instruments myself as well.
How did you make the transition from Pentecostal church music into the mainstream of recording? I know that you've been recording for a lot of years, almost 40. So how did you make that transition?
When I left church in my teenage years, I was a session musician at the age of 18, 19. So I went touring with a lot of bands initially. And then through that process, I ended up doing a lot of recording. And that's kind of when I learned how to produce and how to put tracks together and arrange, mainly based on the sessions that I was doing. So by the time I got to age maybe about 22, 23, I decided, yes, this is kind of what I want to do. And eventually I'd like to do a project for myself. It's taken a long time, but I've spent, the last 20, 25 years as a touring professional musician. So, now is the right time for me, I think.
And I see your list of credits. It's very impressive.
Thank
you were
you.
literally probably with one of the largest European bands of all time.
There's a few of them, yeah. Yeah, I've toured with a few. Yeah, I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of great artists. And also I've learned from them as well, which has really helped.
Especially Take That. That's pretty impressive.
I did take that for quite a few years. And I'm still in touch with the guys as well.
So I'm looking back at your track record as well. And this is kind of a broad question, but did the British soul movement of the late 80s, was that a good influence for propelling your career? Such as when Soul to Soul broke, in other words, in the United States?
Absolutely, yeah. Bands like Soul to Soul, Loose Ends. I was involved with a band called Paradise. I mean, I was quite young at the time, so it was mainly my older brothers. And that's kind of how I kind of really got into the soul scene, because I used to go and hang out with them and see bands, local bands playing. There was another band called Central Line, Incognito, but they used to be called a different name before. So yeah, the whole jazz funk thing of the 80s was a massive influence on me.
Loose Ends. Those guys are their sound changed the sound of jazz in the United States.
Right,
Soul to Soul
right,
changed the sound of R&B, so to
right.
speak. I feel once Soul to Soul hit, I feel like maybe the music industry started. I mean, how many people sampled that same rhythm?
Exactly, very true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a massive influence on a lot of artists, that era. And there's a lot of talent over in the UK. Not all of the talent broke through in America at the time, but it was good to see Soul to Soul doing really well. And it was really good to see Loose Ends, who are a big influence on me as well. I'm a massive fan of what they do and still am.
When you're recording your current song with you, are you planning on a full album release?
Yes, I am. So it's the second single of the album. So the plan is maybe February, March, early springtime. That's when because the album's complete. So it was just about putting out some singles to get people used to the style of music and how versatile, because I'm quite versatile as an artist. And there's a lot of real funky tracks. I use a lot of horns. If you love that whole British jazz funk kind of thing, you'll like some of the tracks that I've done on the record.
I definitely see your versatility with your sponsors, Latin Percussion,
Yes.
Hilton, Vic Firth. It's interesting that you have all of them together because they're all separate brands.
I mean, that helps because of, my ability to play drums as a professional and as a percussionist. I'm sponsored by Latin Percussion LP, and obviously Zildjian. And yeah, I've been quite fortunate in my career.
Do they ever bring you to the NAM show or anything like that? That's where I'm used to seeing those guys.
I got invited to go the year when COVID happened, so I was unable to
Oh
go, or
gosh.
else I would have been there. I think it was 2020, but I still would love to make it out there, and I'm still intending to. I probably won't do it this year, but maybe the following year, because it's always around February time. Isn't that right?
Yeah, correct. Late January,
There you go.
and they do it for 4 days. And then I think there's also a NAM in the East Coast of the United States as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, and I believe that one's in June or July. So I think that one's a summer NAM, and then there's a winter NAM. So winter
Right.
NAM is the big one in Anaheim,
That's
and
correct. Yeah.
and then all that good stuff. This is your first solo album release, correct?
Yes, it's my first official one. I've done some other recordings, but yeah, under my name as Karlos Edwards, this is my debut album.
What was the build up to your current recording? What led you in this direction to say, hey, I'm finally going to release my own studio album after all these years of working with other people?
I think it was just the right timing and the right type of songs, and having my studio enabled me to do a lot of stuff myself. So I wasn't really able to depend on other people to do stuff for me. And more importantly, COVID shut everything down, which enabled me to just go into kind of into bunker mode. Because that's when I finished most of the album, really. I recorded in a very short period of time. And I just felt the time was right. I was going to do it a few years before, but because I was touring, it's very hard to get the continuity when you're recording if you have to stop and then go away for a few months and then you come back, because then your energy is different. So it's a lot easier if you're kind of consistent. So if you start recorded in February and go right through till, I don't know, maybe April or May with no break. When I say break, I mean to like go away for a month or so. So I just felt the time was right.
For right now, at this point in your venture with your current solo album, where are you at? Are you in the process of organizing a live band, or are you in the process of just releasing your album?
I'm in the process of releasing the album, but again, because I'm a live musician, putting a band together wouldn't be an issue. That's the world that I live in. So, if I got called to do a show in a week or a couple of weeks' time, again, it wouldn't be a problem. I got loads of musicians that I can call on. The priority is to get the album out so people kind of get familiar with the material before they come to see me live. That's the idea.
Seems like COVID changed a lot of things for a lot of musicians, and in a lot of ways, it birthed ideas into new recording processes.
I did most of the record myself. I think the only external musicians I used was some live strings and horns, which we kind of did remotely. You know, I did some of the arrangements and sent it off to them, and they played it and thought, okay, let me do this with the voicings or whatever, sent it back to me, and it sounded amazing. Because I trust their input as well. And I know a lot of the guys that I sent stuff out to, and they know me. So they knew what I needed or what I wouldn't like or whatever. So it was quite a straightforward process, and it was good fun as well.
Well, let's give a little preview of his brand new single, With You.
Ooh, sweet moments, yeah, with you, with you. It is now that I see. I need you here close to me. And will you stay by my side and help me reach my highest
Are there any plans to take your new album on the road?
Absolutely. I think the plan is once it's up and established and there's enough people that show enough interest, because of the style of music, maybe like a club tour where people can stand and dance or whatever, it would suit that environment very well as people sitting down and appreciating it. But a lot of the up-tempo tunes would help get the energy up as well, especially with the horns and the percussion and everything going. So that's the plan.
Seems like that's kind of the way to go, especially with jazz. Would your set include any of the other artists that you performed with, meaning their songs?
Definitely, because again, a lot of the horn players, a lot of them are artists in their own right. So I would like to feature some of them maybe doing their own material or doing one of their tracks, because again, I'm quite versatile what I do. So going into straight jazz wouldn't be an issue. And it would give, myself a break from singing and whatever. So I would love to feature everybody in my band, to be honest. So it would be like a party.
So I know that your caliber of musicianship and actually the people that you play with, I'm positive, are knock dead, standout performing artists. And so I'm sure it would be no different when you put them on the road, and
Exactly.
it probably would just come like very natural to them.
Exactly. Because everybody that I've involved in my album, I've worked with them, I've toured with them. For example, a trumpet player who done a great solo on With You, I've toured with him with the Brand New Heavies. So I've got relationships with all of these guys. So it just makes it a lot more natural when you come together.
Oh, I love that first Brand New Heavies album. That was just...
All right. So you know, right. Okay, good. Yeah.
In the United States, I feel like by the time the album came out for Brand New Heavies, the sound has switched drastically between them and Soul to Soul, who was more of a studio.
That's
I
correct.
don't want to say studio project, but there was
No,
more...
I know what you mean, but it was more programmed. The sound of the Brand New Heavies was a lot more live, the way it was captured and recorded. Yeah, I toured with them for many years. They're a wonderful band. Ndia is still one of the best singers I've ever worked with. She was absolutely incredible to work with.
She's fantastic. As someone that grew up in the United States, specifically Los Angeles, market here in the West Coast is a little different. I know things have changed since 1989, but at the time, we weren't getting the music that was being released. We would
Right.
get it if it was a hit, but we wouldn't get it when it came
Yes.
out. We never got their live performance, the one at the Brixton. We never got any of the live videos from Brand New Heavies, Massive Attack. And so it made it really difficult to follow a lot of these artists. And so
Right.
we would get it here 6 months later. And I
Okay.
felt like they did us a disservice by doing that here in the United States. I don't know if anyone's ever shared that with you,
No, not really. No.
but nowadays it seems like everyone has access to stuff.
The digital platform and the internet has just made a lot of bands a lot more accessible. I remember touring the States with Brand New Heavies and it went down well. It was amazing, actually. I didn't think they were that well known, but I remember the shows we did were incredible.
They definitely hit a different niche out here
Yeah.
in the States. And because of the live sound, where people were
Yes,
looking for that again, especially at that time with the samples
yes.
and all this stuff that people were sampling music. People were taking James Brown and Rick
That's
James
right,
and
that's right. And using samples and programming. It's funny. So, like my record, I've kind of tried to take it back to the whole live thing. Hence, live kit and live percussion, live bass, the horns, the strings, that element of music never dies because it's live. You're always going to get live instruments. So I just wanted my project to kind of predominantly be more of a live thing than polished and programmed, and I'm capable of doing that side as well. But these batch of songs, I just feel it kind of needed to kind of lend itself to the more live thing that I grew up listening to. Old Shaka Khan records and Earth, Wind and Fire, and that again, it's all live, all been
right.
captured live in the studio.
One thing I noticed about your music is there's more layers and elements of true musicianship. For instance, the time signatures. That's what's different. It's not like it's a 4/4
No,
or
no, you're right. Well,
a fade
okay,
in,
well,
fade out. Yours is good. Your music, you know what it reminds me of? And it's not really the same style, but it reminds me of Miles Davis, kind of.
wow, okay, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, you're right. With views in six, yeah, you're right. Well observed.
Also, it lends to a more sophisticated listener because it's not your
Right,
pop music.
exactly.
And you can tell as a listener that you put more thought behind the process of your recordings, where a lot of people want to just make a radio hit.
I agree with you. I think the record that I've done is a lot more classy and sophisticated. It's definitely made for the listener. There are some kind of more simplistic up-tempo tracks which could be deemed as a little bit more commercial or poppy, but even within that, there's still a lot of thought to the chord progressions and the horn work. When you hear it, you'll see what I'm talking about. The horn players are incredible what they've done just to add to that whole kind of sheen. So it just makes the whole thing very polished.
And as someone that has a jazz station, your music stands out. A lot of the stuff that we air is very 4/4 tempo or
Yes.
very under 5 minutes or under four
Right.
minutes. It has
Right.
to be just long enough for the listener to
Yeah. Yeah.
grasp it.
Yeah.
But yours is more for the sophisticated listener, once
Yeah.
again.
That was the aim. It was all about just trying to kind of appeal to people that have a wider palette when it comes to listening to music. And that's why the record is so diverse. If you like straight up funk, there's some straight up funk on there. If you like more classical stuff, there's a track on there which I go to India every January just for vacation. And I love Indian music. So I was fortunate to be able to get a wonderful Indian flautist to play on one of the tracks. And it's very, you can hear the influence, but I've put a little twist to it. So like the East meets the West. So I've got a wonderful soprano sax player playing alongside this Indian flautist. And it's incredible when you hear the fusion between them. And again, if your palette is wide when it comes to listening to music, you'll love it. And that was the aim. Just to try and make something a little bit different, just to stand out a little bit, you know.
When you go to a different area in a different part of the world and you hear the music that they're playing, especially I'm sure you picked this up when you're in other countries
Absolutely.
and you just like think, oh, maybe this will be something. That's kind
Absolutely.
of how we started our station, actually.
Well, again, like I said, when you hear the rest of the tracks from me, there's one that was in. I guess I was influenced by my travel to Cuba. I spent some time in Havana, and I remember I came back and I wrote about it. I never completed it. It was never right until lockdown, and then I listened to it again, and I just thought, okay, you know what? I know how to redo this track. I know what drums to put on it. I know how to sort out the melody or whatever and let people capture the joy that I was feeling when I was in Havana. So I think I eventually got that to go on the track now. You can hear my joy. You can hear the laughter and how I felt through the music. And that took a little while. But again, that was important for me. Because it's life experiences, especially with your first album, you want to get out what stuff's inside, there's a lot you want to say. And it's hard to do that, with 10 or 11 tracks. But I try to do that consistently, even though there's different styles of tracks. I think there's like a spine and there's a theme going through. Like the rhythm and the melody is very, very important in every track, no matter what style it is.
Let me ask you this as well. I know this is kind of a weird question, but what's your ethnicity?
So I was born in the UK, and my mother and father are both Jamaican. So there's a Caribbean influence there. But yeah, I was born in the UK.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I grew up hearing reggae and loads of different calypso and all the different kind of sounds that you get from the West Indies.
What you just said right there brought a plethora of different reggae artists. I was thinking Steel Pulse. I know they're
Yeah.
European. Aswad.
Yeah, that's what oh man, again, when I was young, that's I listened to them. I think they had a live album called Live and Direct. And I used to listen to that so much. I never kind of really heard an artist live and then you hear the live audience, how they react. So it was really nice actually listening to a record, hearing that, because it made you feel that you were a part of that. Earth and the Fire did the same thing. They did an album called Gratitude.
Oh
And when
yeah.
you're like, oh my God, yeah, it's just, and I love that. Santana did, I think it's called Moonflower. And again, it's live. It's just got all of those things that you're just like, oh, yes. People used to really enjoy music live. I miss that. I think it's great when you capture a live concert. You hear the audience, you kind of live that moment.
The Aswad album Live and Direct was completely different than any of their other music because their
Yes,
music always changed with the current times where
very
you hear
true.
Roots Rockin' on that
Oh,
Live and
yeah.
Direct album, just
Okay,
completely different.
I know.
Who's rocking every day? Roots rocking, roots rocking,
Wow.
roots rocking.
Yeah, you're
So
making me you're making me think of all the good albums from the old days.
I can hear that. Yeah, I can hear your knowledge of music. It's great.
So tell us where we can find your current music.
So my music will be available on all digital platforms. So it was good. It'll be on Spotify. It will be on iTunes. You can go to my website, which is carlosedwards.com, and that's Carlos with a K. And if you want to, I've got my own YouTube channel. Again, if you just type in Karlos Edwards with a K, it will come up. And the record label has got loads more info with all the other great artists. And the label's called digitalJukeboxrecords.com. Dexter Wansel is also signed to the same label. So there's some great artists as well. The single will be released Tuesday, which is 22nd of November. And yeah, you should be able to get a hold of it. You can download it, you can stream it. So it's accessible everywhere, to be honest. And then look out for the album. The album's going to be special.
And when can we plan on seeing you on the road?
I'm hoping, because the album's going to be out by early spring, I'm hoping by the end of summer, I should be able to start doing some small shows. maybe like a club tour or so, or opening up for someone. Again, my music is quite accessible and it's quite danceable. Again, it's versatile, that it could work with any artist, to be honest. It doesn't have to be just a jazz artist. It could be a soul artist or whatever, because, there's quite a few singing bits and stuff on my songs as well. Fingers crossed, there's an audience out there who'd be interested in seeing me. So yeah, we're in the process of setting that up now.
Karlos, it's been great talking with you. Everyone, check out his brand new single, With You. You can find it everywhere on all streaming platforms. I just want to thank his production group, the Digital Jukebox Media, and also our house for making this happen. Karlos, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and looking forward to your full album release, and also looking forward to seeing you live in concert.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks. It's been wonderful chatting to you also.
You have been listening to The Starboard with guest Karlos Edwards. I'm your Dockmaster Michael Atilano. Thank you for listening. To find out more about the Starboard podcast, look me up on Facebook. That's Dockmaster Mike on Facebook. And there you can find links to our guest and to our past podcast episodes.